All right, we will get started with our very last session, which is with me. I suddenly just got way more nervous about the whole day, but that's all right. Let me move this so I can see all of my notes. Okay, so welcome to the last educational session of the day. Thanks for sticking with us throughout the day. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're learning things. And getting something out of this event. That's the goal anyway. So our last session, I don't know where to, okay. Our last session is on mindset and mental health, why the language you use matters. Who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, you don't really have to. I am just a personal development junkie. It's kind of everything about my life. I love reading about it. I love applying things, watching videos. For my titles or whatever, I am the program manager of the model systems, spinal cord injury model systems grant here with MetroHealth. I'm also the president of the United Spinal Association Northeast Ohio chapter. So you may have seen me on monthly meetings for that. I'm also a regional chapter coordinator with United Spinal for the Great Lakes region. So I look after 8 chapters in our region, make sure they're getting the services and information that they need. But I'm also a life coach and a certified peer mentor with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, as well as with United Spinal. So that's just kind of a little bit about me. The goal of my presentation, I did start recording this, right? Okay, good. My goal for this presentation is to kind of inspire you to start reflecting on your own attitudes, behaviors, feelings, and thoughts. I go into a lot about thoughts, but then to also give you some tools and skills you need to get started to live an awesome life filled with joy and happiness and abundance. And then to have some fun, because I always like having fun. All right. So before I really get into it, I just kind of wanted to give a few of my beliefs just as a little foundation for what I'm talking about. So I kind of believe that I do believe we are each responsible for our own experience. When we create peace and harmony in our minds, we create that in our worlds. So when we create the situations and then give our power away by blaming others, we are the ones that get affected by it. I meant to get the book out, but a book that I love is Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And it talks about just how your mindset and beliefs and the thoughts and the things that you think and tell yourself are contributing to your dis-ease. But a direct quote from that book is that no person, no place, or no thing has any power over us because we are the only thinkers in our mind. So our thoughts create the situations and our perspective, and that's how we feel about the situation. Another belief that I have is that every thought we think is creating our future. So if you have great positive self-talk, that's the future you're creating. If you keep telling yourself that you're dumb and you can't do things, that's the future you're creating. But the good news is that it's just a thought, and any thought can be changed. Another belief that I have is that everyone suffers from self-hatred and self-guilt. Everybody's bottom line is I'm not enough. Whether it's I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not whatever. I believe everybody's bottom line is I'm not enough. I know I struggle with that all the time. And then another belief that I have is that we must release the past and forgive everybody. Whether you believe they deserve it or not, the forgiveness is not for them, it is for you. Resentment only hurts the body that it's stored in, and emotions, and it's all stored in your body. Okay, so how do we change things? I think that goes into growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Is the slideshow advancing?
No.
No.
That's okay. We'll just listen to you. Yep.
There we go. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I believe that it was Einstein that said something along the lines of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Well, if we want something different, if we want to change our current situation, we have to do different things. We can't do the same thing every single day and expect it to be different, even though I wish it would, because it'd be so much easier. But I believe that everybody can change their life based on the mindset that they have. And so I kind of went to Google to see exactly what the definition of mindset is. And Google told me that it's just an established set of attitudes held by somebody. Well, if it's an attitude comes from a thought, and every thought can be changed. So your mindset can be changed. If anybody that's in a similar situation as you has done something that you want to do, then it's possible. You know that it's possible. A growth mindset is saying, I need to figure out that way. What can I do to get there? What do I need to do to get there? A fixed mindset would say, well, I haven't done it yet. It's really hard, so I can't do it. Adopting a growth mindset is the first step. Okay. Okay, so I started my personal healing journey, is what I call it, by identifying what values are important to me. Behavior that's out of alignment with our truest selves, with our values, is what creates a problem. So to identify your values, you can ask yourself what fuels your decision-making process. Too many chords. Or a chord. Okay. So I went to Google again and asked what the definition of values was. Like, I know what a value is, but like, what is it? It's just a person's principles or standards of behavior. It's the judgment of what's important in life. So I do have a little short exercise for us to do, and it's to identify what your top values are. I didn't wear a good outfit for a lapel mic. Okay. Okay, so the following list was taken from Dr. Brene Brown's Daring Greatly book. I'm in love with Brene Brown. I think she's like queen when it comes to psychology and all that type of stuff. I think I've read like 5 or 6 books from her. So list of values. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I hope that's big enough. There is a lot on the screen. To just kind of look and see what maybe your top 2 or 3 values are. Notice that there's some blank spaces at the end. So this list is not exhaustive. There are so many more values that there could be. So if you don't see one that resonates with you, write that one down. But I'm going to kind of give you just like a minute just to look at things. And then we'll going quickly through this. So some of these values can connect with other ones, kind of overlap in a way. So as you're trying to figure out yours, I'll share mine and kind of how I came up with mine. I've done this activity a couple of different times, and I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit more each time. But my top two values are living in courage and living in compassion. To me, living in courage means to live authentically as me, listening with an open heart and an open mind, and setting boundaries where I need to. And then living in compassion means living in love and with gratitude and being aware of things that I don't know. There's a lot of things that I don't know when I'm talking with anybody. I don't know their story. I don't know what just happened to them 30 seconds ago. I don't know their mindset. I don't know their perspective. So I listen openly to learn that before I start reacting. Okay, so then after you kind of figure out your values, kind of the next step is to reflect. And this is something you can do outside of here because you should take some time with this. But what behaviors do you do on a daily basis that portray these values? How do you live up to these values? And then which behaviors don't? What are the things that don't live up to these values, that don't feel good to you? And then once you identify those, you can start working on them. So with your values, I take a radical responsibility approach to my life. I believe that everything is a choice. Our reactions are a choice. And it's my responsibility to control my reactions. So I ask myself in any situation, what have I done to contribute to the situation? Did I not say something? Did I say something in a way that I don't like? So was I like name calling or yelling or anything like that? Did I assume something? Did I assume that the other person knew something that they didn't know? I asked myself those types of questions. And then I also asked myself, what have I allowed that I no longer wish to allow? What boundaries do I need to set? Setting boundaries is advocating for your peace. They are expectations and needs to help you feel safe and comfortable. Setting boundaries will come with guilt. It always does. It's important to feel that, but it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be more uncomfortable by allowing a behavior that is damaging to you. By saying that a behavior is unacceptable in a friendship, it's saying that you want this friendship to exist. You value this friendship, but you don't feel heard or good or valued in the relationship. And this is what you need in order to feel that. I would like to give a tip to not set boundaries based on the action of the other person. So you have to be able to control yourself. So, for example, a boundary could be, if you were to continue, or I would like you to not yell at me when we get into disagreements. If you need a break, I need you to let me know. I will speak up when I feel uncomfortable in the argument, and I will take a break when I feel it's needed. So I am removing myself from the situation and not placing all of the action on the other person. Okay. When you take responsibility, you do what needs to be done to change your situation. It doesn't mean everything's your fault. This was a big one that I had to learn. It's not it's not taking the blame for everything, but it's taking the responsibility for what you're allowing and not allowing in your life. And that kind of goes back into the growth versus fixed mindset. By saying you can't do something, you are giving all of your power away. So instead of asking, I can't, or how, instead try asking, how can I do something versus I can't do it. And take your power back. I get into the hippie woo-woo type of stuff with it. I know not everybody wants to do that, but there are some like energy affirmations that you can use to like cleanse and replenish and your energy and call back your power. That's something else for another day. I would love to talk with anybody about all of that stuff. But some other things that you can do is start meditating or doing just some simple breath work, just sitting there for 30 seconds and just concentrating on your breath. That's meditation. There are different tapping practices that can kind of get into the hippie woo-woo side of it. I enjoy those. I was just doing one 2 days ago, actually. But then journaling. Journaling doesn't have to be pen to paper, write it down. Journaling can be just talking to yourself in your head or out loud if you're alone. It could be taking notes within voice notes or using voice dictation on a computer. It can be a conversation with your closest friend. And then there's always counseling and therapy. I'm a big advocate for getting a counselor. I see one about every 6 weeks or so. If you would like a journal prompt just to kind of get you started, you can think of a time when you had a disagreement with somebody or you were involved in any situation that resulted in hurt feelings or feeling frustrated, angry, irritated, anything like that. Ask yourself how you reacted and how did that feel to you? What did you feel in your body when you're in that situation? Was your heart racing? Did you have like a tight chest? Were you really cold, really hot and sweating, shaking? Think about how your body felt. And then ask yourself if you could have reacted in a different way that would have felt better to you. If you raised your voice and you didn't like that, then how could you handle that in a future situation? If you would like to get into a journaling practice, this is a little shameless plug for me, but if you would like to get into a journaling practice, I have a free 2-week journaling ebook on my website. That's thewheellifeblog.com/shop. But anyway, where are we? Okay. So I'm a little bit early, but being ready is not a feeling. If you keep waiting until you feel like you're ready, then you're going to miss out on a bunch of opportunities. Life is meant to be messy. Don't try to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. We are human. We're bound to make mistakes, but it's owning those mistakes, getting to an understanding with your relationships in your life. And again, when we create peace and harmony in our minds, we create that in our lives. So there's about 10 more minutes, but are there like any questions or anything that I can answer? Okay.
Does anyone want to share their priorities that they came up with?
Yeah, so we do have somebody in the chat sharing that his values are loyalty, respect, and accountability. I like those. Anybody else willing to share?
Family and gratitude.
Family and gratitude. I love that too. Say with gratitude, since we have a little bit of time, kind of going along with the journaling, starting just a daily gratitude list. You don't have to physically write it down. You can just take a few moments every day, whenever it feels good to you, to just think about 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for in your life. Because the more you pay attention to the positives, the more positives are going to come in. Okay. If you want to manifest, hippie woo-woo term there, if you want to manifest a great life, you have to start looking at what is already great. So starting with a gratitude list of 3 to 5 things, big things, small things. It could be a cup of coffee. It could be a person in your life, having stable housing is a huge gratitude, good weather, the sun, fall, whatever it might be, big or small. Hey, anything else? Anything anybody wants to add? Oh, Patricia shared honesty, respect, and ambition. Those are good. I like those too. Really, you can't go wrong.
I really love what you said about living in courage and compassion. Can you speak more on living in courage, specifically post injury?
Sure. So I think anybody with a physical disability knows that a lot of people like to stare at you. That was one thing that I needed to get over pretty soon after my injury. I didn't stay home very long before I got out there. So for me, living in courage means just kind of showing up and knowing that I'm enough and I'm worthy and I can take up space. That's a big statement for me to say. That's been a long road to believe. But I know when I go out that people are going to look at me. They're going to watch me when I get in and out of my car. They're going to watch me as I'm pushing a cart in the grocery store or a basket on my lap or wherever I am. So to me, living in courage means not being afraid to be out there, letting the people watch, knowing that I'm teaching them that wheelchair users can do most of all of the things by themselves, depending on level of injury, of course. So it's knowing that I may look like I'm struggling, but knowing that I'm not. It's speaking up for myself and asking somebody to get something down off the top shelf. It's saying no to somebody that asked to help me load my wheelchair. I have a system, and if you don't know the system, then it creates more work for me. So I choose not to have a stranger help me get in and out of my car by myself. But it's important for me to not snap back at them, but to say, oh, no, thank you. I have a system. I'd rather do it myself. And then I do a lot of times have people like still touch my wheelchair after I say no. And it's that courage is, I said no, please let me do this by myself because that's my independence. They don't like that, but it's me teaching them that no means no. I appreciate that. I always say that I appreciate them asking because I do. And I don't want to discourage them from asking somebody else. Because while I might say no, the next wheelchair user that they come across may need the help. And if I react badly to their asking to help, the chances of them helping the next person might decrease considerably. And I don't want that. So I always take like an educational approach to any interaction that I have. I think I was born to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher since 2nd grade. I did teach for 10 years in a school classroom before coming to MetroHealth. I think I'm always going to be a teacher. And that gets tied into living encouraged with me. And then the compassion gets in there, knowing that other people aren't around wheelchair users a lot, so they don't know. So I want to teach them so they do know. Thank you. Anybody want to share anything?
Yeah, I got
Or
a
anything?
question.
Okay.
How do you deal with someone who, well, people, not someone, how do you deal with people who come up to you who don't know anything about you and they ask you what happened to you? That's like one of I can't stand that. It's like, you don't even ask me how I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? You just ask me, oh, what happened to you? Like, what?
Yes. Yes. And New Mobility, which is a magazine with United Spinal Association, they print comics, I believe, in every issue. And there was a back to school issue with a kid asking a parent what happened to you. And it was a funny comic. If I can find it and share it, I will. But I don't mind that question, to be honest. I again take that as a educational opportunity. I know some people get creative with it and come up with bizarre stories just to kind of give like a passive aggressive type of answer, but in the funny way. But I choose to take a perspective of they are intrigued that I am a wheelchair user doing it for myself. So I will explain. I'll say, I was in a motorcycle accident. I'm now paralyzed, and this is the way that I do things. I don't give too much details because they don't need to know. If you don't want that question, you can just say, that's a really personal thing to me and I'd rather not tell you. And then just kind of move on. That would be my suggestion anyway. There's a million other ways that you can respond to that, but I get it. It happens a lot, and some stories are really personal and people don't want to answer it, and that's okay. You don't have to, and just saying, that's pretty personal and I'd rather not tell you, I think is just fine. Okay, well, that does bring us to the end. I'm going to stop recording. I can stop sharing, first of all. And then I'll stop.